All right, let's now shift our attention to what is happening in the United Kingdom, where just days after the United Kingdom's Metropolitan Police announced that there will be no further fines that will be levied on Prime Minister Boris Johnson related to the Partygate probe, the scandal has been reignited again, and it is bigger than before. And this time round, there are more pictures of Boris Johnson, the British Prime Minister, lifting up a glass of wine or liquor in his hand at the 10 Downing Street on the 13th of November back in 2020. Now, these are the latest pictures of Boris Johnson caught in the Partygate scandal that have been released. Remember, these are images from a party that Boris Johnson allowed his staff to in fact take part in. This was also the Bring Your Own Booze party scandal that the British Prime Minister has been involved in. And the British Prime Minister has been facing a lot of flack by members of the public who say that at a time when Britain, the rest of Britain, was caught up in a very strict lockdown imposed by the British government, the British Prime Minister himself was seen partying with his staff members. Now, the British Prime Minister is facing fresh claims of having lied to the members of Parliament after photos of him toasting senior aide got released in the public. In the images, Johnson can be seen raising a glass of wine in front of a table strewn with bottles of liquor. 9 other people are said to be in the room, including the photographer. Another image also shows the Prime Minister gesticulating during a speech that he's delivering, and in the third, he can be seen raising a toast at the event to mark Lee Kane's departure from 10 Downing Street. Now, sources say that the Prime Minister was the instigator of this event as his Director of Communications was leaving office, and alleging that Johnson in fact had poured drinks for his staff. That is, the Prime Minister pouring out drinks in a very sportive manner to his staff members. At the time of the event in November 2020, England was in a 4-week lockdown due to the COVID-19 pandemic outbreak. The other attendees at the event were given a fixed penalty for their attendance, but Johnson was not sanctioned by the police. According to reports, the Scotland Yard had details of the party and Johnson's attenders, but chose not to issue any fixed penalty notice, which is now raising questions on the Metropolitan Police's inquiry into the Partygate. The Prime Minister Johnson had on previous occasions claimed that the COVID guidelines were followed at all times at 10 Downing Street during the period of the lockdown, but had been forced to apologise in January this year for the very first time after it was confirmed that he had attended a Bring Your Own Booze party at 10 Downing Street. Johnson is facing an inquiry by the Commons Privileges Committee over whether he knowingly had misled the Parliament. If proven, it would be a breach of the ministerial code, and Johnson will be forced to step down. The government this week is expected to publish the long-awaited Sue Gray report on the events that actually took place at 10 Downing Street during the lockdown. Johnson has also been embroiled in a row over the report after it became known that he had met with the civilian in charge of the investigation, Sue Gray, while government spokesperson earlier had said that Sue Gray had asked for the meeting, and Prime Minister's office was forced to admit on Monday that it instigated the meeting between Johnson and Gray, during which the Prime Minister reportedly suggested to Gray that the report should no longer be published, as all the information was already out in the public domain. Now, the Labour's deputy leader, Angela Rayner, has slammed Johnson over this issue. In a statement, she said, and I quote, "While the British public were making huge sacrifices, Boris Johnson was breaking the law." Boris Johnson said repeatedly that he knew nothing about law breaking, and there's no doubt now that he lied. That Boris Johnson made the rules and then broke them. The British Prime Minister has demeaned his office. The British people deserve better. The Prime Minister Boris Johnson now faces scrutiny by both the members of the Parliament as well as the public. He has already lost popularity over the scandal, which led to poor performance in the latest local polls for the Tories. And these images just prove that the storm over Partygate is only worsening for Boris Johnson.
And by denying Ukraine's legitimacy as a state and presenting its very existence as a mortal threat to Russia, Putin is establishing the pretext for a full-scale offensive.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.